Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of In the District. If you are new to our show, our purpose is to meet with organizations within our community and learn about what they have to offer, their efforts in the community to help make our community better and to amplify the great work they are doing. New episodes will be uploaded every other Friday. If you would like to participate in one of our next videos, please contact our office. Okay, I am so excited. Today we have Julia Lemp she's a marketing communication specialist from the Northern Illinois Food Bank. Thank you so much for being with us and being our guest today. And we look forward to hearing about the great work you're doing at Northern Illinois Food Bank and just how you have survived and what you've been able to do for everyone throughout this pandemic. But before we get started, Julia, would you like to make a few remarks?
Sure. First of all, thank you so much, Senator Johnson, for the opportunity to come and speak on your show. We're really excited to get to share about the work of Northern Illinois Food Bank and make sure that all of our neighbors are aware and have access to the resources that Northern Illinois Food Bank provides. If it's okay with you, I'd like to start by sharing a story from one of our neighbors out at our distributions.
Sure.
Yeah, so a couple weeks ago, I was out at College of Lake County, so up in Lake County by you, and it was a rainy, dreary day, and we were coming to the end of our distribution, and a neighbor pulled up in her car. She was definitely a younger neighbor, definitely a student age neighbor, and so she pulled up and she was very concerned about needing to provide identification. She was asking if she needed to provide proof of income, none of which is mandatory at any of our distributions. And so we talked her through and made sure that she knew she was able to get groceries that day without any of that information. But she also expressed that this was her first time at one of our distributions, which is something that we've been seeing a lot throughout this pandemic. Many neighbors, even now as this pandemic continues, have been accessing our services for the first time. And she also expressed that she was a little bit concerned that she was perhaps getting groceries when other families were maybe in need of it more. And that's a myth that we always work to dispel at the food bank. We always want to make sure that anyone who needs a little help is able to get the groceries that they need. And so we spoke through this with her and made sure that she felt comfortable accessing the groceries that she needed. I think what stuck out most to me, at least, was I could see in her passenger seat that she had a couple textbooks and she had an apron from a grocery store. So it was clear that she was a student and it was clear that she worked as an essential worker at one of our grocery stores, and yet she still didn't have access to the food that she needed. And so really it just speaks to the courage that our neighbors have when they come and ask us for a little help. And we just want to make sure that all of our neighbors know that Northern Illinois Food Bank is here for them when they need help with a little food.
Oh, that is great, Julia. What a wonderful story. And that's really important, particularly providing resources for students too, right? I mean, they need the resources as well. And then just for her to think about, am I taken away from others? We're all in need during this time. The need is so great. And it's so wonderful, the great work you're doing at the Northern Illinois Food Bank. And I know that you provide services to about 900 food banks throughout Illinois. And so I would like to start off with the first question. For those who may not have heard about Northern Illinois Food Bank, could you tell us about your mission and your goals, Julia, that the organization is focusing on right now?
Sure, yeah. So Northern Illinois Food Bank, we serve in Northern Illinois, of course. We have a 13 county service area. So everything kind of surrounding Cook. Cook is excluded from our service area, but we serve up from Lake over to, the Winnebago area, down all the way to McHenry, everything in between. So we've got quite a large service area, Kankakee, plenty of counties. And so really our mission is to provide nutritious food and resources for neighbors with dignity, equity, and convenience through partnerships and innovation. So we always want to make sure that we're centering our neighbors and centering our partnerships and trying to provide food in innovative and creative ways to make sure that we're providing food to everyone who needs it. And then, of course, our vision is for everyone in Northern Illinois to have the food they need to thrive.
Wonderful. What a great vision. And that's really well demonstrated in the story you shared about the young student. So great. Thank you so much, Julia. So the next question I have, what are the services that Northern Illinois Food Bank offers? And how has COVID-19 changed the way you run your operation?
Sure. So we have a lot of services. As you had mentioned, our first and foremost, we are a distribution center, and so we distribute food to our network of over 900 food pantries, soup kitchens, and feeding sites. So we're always working with our partners to make sure that they have foods that they can get out to people in our community. We've got 4 different distribution centers located throughout our 13 county service area. So I'm here in our one in Geneva. We've got one up in Park City. We have one out west in Rockford and one down south in Joliet. So we're trying to meet the need, and we're working with different member agencies in every single one of our counties to meet the need in our communities. We do have a food pantry based out of one of our 4 centers right now. That's called the Winnebago Community Market. So that's out of our center in Rockford. It's been a really successful way to make sure that neighbors can access groceries. And so we're looking to expand to have other distribution options out of some of our other centers. We also have an innovative online food pantry. It's called My Pantry Express. This is a program that we really love because it offers neighbors the opportunity to choose the groceries that they want and need for their families. And then they can place orders online and come and pick up at one of our sites, just like you would any other kind of online shopping. And so we have locations for that in Waukegan, out in Rockford, all across our 13 counties. So My Pantry Express is another option that we've got. We also have mobile pantries and pop-up markets. I just spoke about one of our pop-up markets. That's been our COVID response. And so these are currently operating as drive-through distributions where neighbors can come and get food. They're contactless for the most part. We ask the neighbor where they want food placed in their car, and then volunteers will load groceries into neighbors' cars without very many touch points. So that's been a great and safe way to make sure that our neighbors are getting the food that they need. Lots of our pantries, I will say, have also shifted to some drive-through distributions, just to make sure that we're maintaining safety practices and that our neighbors can still access food, but without the additional hurdle of having to come into contact with so many people. We also have a variety of programs that the food bank runs to help feed our neighbors. So one of our big ones is our child nutrition programs. So we definitely want to make sure that our youngest neighbors have enough to eat. And so we help provide meals after school and over the summer through our child nutrition programs. And then we also have a backpack program where we fill backpacks and provide bags for students to take home on the weekend so they have enough to eat when school's out. We have senior opportunities to ensure that seniors have food across our service area. We also have nutrition education programming and partnerships with health organizations in our community to promote well-being for everyone. We have a SNAP outreach team, which is here to help provide help in applying for SNAP benefits or help in accessing any kind of food access that our neighbors may need or have questions on. And we have a hotline that our neighbors can call to speak to a member of our team. They'll either pick up the phone right away or make sure to call back within 24 hours so that you can have actual contact with a human being and get your questions answered. So that hotline is 844-600-SNAP. And we encourage people to call that hotline at any time. And then, of course, none of this happens without the dedication of our wonderful volunteers. So we've got over 35 volunteer opportunities to accommodate over 900 volunteers a week. So we have opportunities to pack and sort groceries in all 4 of our warehouses. We have opportunities at our direct distributions and our feeding sites. You can volunteer at one of our events. And of course, in this digital age, we have opportunities to get involved virtually. So you can join a social media ambassador program and help spread the word about our work on social media. We have opportunities to sign up for advocacy alerts, to get engaged online. We've got coloring pages for kids, so plenty of opportunities to get involved in our work. I will say that the virtual options have been very important throughout COVID because we have seen a little bit of a decrease in our our volunteers, we've had to lessen the amount of people who are allowed in our spaces for our volunteer shifts. And then in addition, a lot of our volunteers are retired or don't want to come into the food bank for safety reasons. And so we've seen a decrease in volunteers. So we're always looking for people to get involved, whether it's virtually or whether you feel safe and comfortable coming out to one of our sites or our facilities. We'd love to get people involved in our work. And of course, as you know, COVID has increased the need for our services.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so over the past year, we've served, during our COVID response, we've served over 100 million meals, which is way more than we've served in the past. It's a 34% increase over the previous year. And so we've really increased our own distributions, our mobile pantries and our pop-up markets. We've held over 850 of those in the past year. And we're really just increasing our services to meet the need in our community. So we want people to know that the resources are there and that there are opportunities to come get food, but also to come get involved in our work.
No, absolutely. So many great programs. I mean, just to address all of the needs and, so many ways of getting in touch with you. And although I know this is during the pandemic, maybe my express pantry isn't as active, but I do love how you allow members of the community to select the food that they like and what they want. And that reduces a lot of the waste, I'm sure. But during this time, just all the great services that you're providing is making a difference in our community. So thank you so much for what you're doing. And I know firsthand the work you do because I volunteer on a regular basis at the Midwest Veterans Closet. And I know you work in partnership with that organization. And so again, thank you for the great work you're doing in the community. So shifting gears a little bit, are there any initiatives that your organization is focusing on? So in addition of all the great programs you have, are there any new initiatives?
Sure. So we're very excited because we just recently launched our new strategic plan, Unite. So it's a 5-year collaborative journey, and we really want to make sure that our work is centering our neighbors, our supporters, our network of 900 agencies, and our elected officials like you, Senator Johnson, and everyone in our community. We really want to make sure that we're collaborating together to make sure that everyone has equitable access to the quantity and quality of food that they need and want. So really what we're doing is we're adapting our existing models to more effectively reach and engage with neighbors who we often miss, because we know that there are areas and there are neighbors who we're not getting food to who need food. So key to this strategic plan is making sure that we are centering our neighbors, receiving feedback, making sure that we're increasing our distributions and making sure that we get feedback from our neighbors and how we can better serve them. So like I said, we're increasing distributions, we're working to ramp up our SNAP outreach team, and we're really trying to meet the need in our community. And so we're committed to meeting the meal gap in our community, always have been, always will be, but now guided by Unite, we strive to serve more neighbors and especially those that we often miss. And so we're super excited to have launched this strategic plan and to get our community involved in this work.
Sure. Yes, that sounds super exciting. Look forward to partnering with you and the food bank in the future on that great initiative. Thanks for sharing that. And Julia, are there any legislative priorities that the Northern Illinois Food Bank is advocating for at this time?
Definitely. So we've got a very active advocacy team at the food bank that I sit on, and we're always working to make sure that we're educating and engaging with our elected officials and community partners so that we can work to solve hunger in our communities together. Hunger relief work happens at the federal, state, and local levels of government. So we're engaging with all of our elected officials really to make sure that we can solve hunger in our communities. And so I think it's important to highlight what our advocacy work does. And so we've got a couple different priorities that we keep top of mind when we do all of our advocacy work. And so our advocacy work, our priorities must impact food supply or access for our neighbors, impact the root causes of hunger affecting our neighbors, impact the nutritional well-being of our neighbors, or directly impact the operation of our food bank. So there's a lot of work that we could be doing out in the community to advocate to end hunger. And we want to make sure that we're centering our neighbors, their well-being, and to impact the root causes of hunger, essentially, as well as, to impact the operation of the food bank. So lots of legislative actions that can be taken at every level of government to make sure that neighbors can have the food they need to thrive. So we always advocate for the support and strengthening of nutrition programs. So like I said, we've got a SNAP outreach team. So we're always working to make sure that SNAP is a good program. Our child nutrition programs fall under that. And then programs that help the food bank purchase food. So we always want these programs to be efficient, effective, and equitable so that we can address hunger in our communities. And there's also opportunities for budgets and appropriations to address hunger in our community. And so we always want to advocate for strong social services, nonprofit sectors, and funding of programs in our federal and state budgets to make sure that no one in our communities face hunger. And I really just want to reemphasize that this hunger relief work happens at federal, state, and local levels. So we're always working with our elected officials to make sure that neighbors have more access to more meals. Right now, especially with COVID-19 continuing to impact our neighbors, we're really focusing to make sure that legislation addresses the heightened need of food insecurity in our communities. So we're excited about extensions of SNAP benefits and flexibilities that can help our neighbors have access to SNAP. We're excited about additional funding that's helping our food bank purchase food so we can continue to operate at this increased level and meet the increased need in our community. There have been extensions to child nutrition waivers that will help students access more meals throughout school and throughout the summer months. And unfortunately, it's top of mind in all of our advocacy work that the economic impacts of this pandemic will far outlast the public health crisis. And so looking ahead, we're looking forward to continuing to work together with all of our elected officials to make sure that all of our neighbors have access to the food that they need to thrive now as this pandemic continues to impact everyone and always looking forward into the future.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. And of course, that's a big part and a salient part of what we're doing here in the district and talking to great organizations such as Northern Illinois Food Bank and really amplifying the great work you're doing in the community. And of course, when it comes to nutrition and providing food for our neighbors, that's top of heart and top of mind. And that's something that I know my fellow members in the General Assembly will support for many years to come. So thank you again for the great work you're doing. So as we're getting towards wrapping up here, I know you have great programs, but are there any events that's coming up that you would like folks at home to know about?
Definitely. So right around the corner on April 17th, we actually have a Fight Hunger 5K 10K. So if you're looking to get active in the fight against hunger, we encourage you to join us in a race. So we've got virtual opportunities to get involved this year, so you can pick where and when you're running the race, at what pace you're going, because I would definitely be walking a 5K. And so that's definitely a great opportunity to get involved in the fight against hunger. And then, as I mentioned before, we've got a ton of volunteer opportunities. We can accommodate over 900 volunteers per week. So we encourage people, if they're able, to come out and join us at one of our volunteer opportunities. And we always have distributions and pop-up markets and pantries that our neighbors can access. So I want to make sure that neighbors know that there are opportunities for them to come get food if they need a little help. So specifically looking in your area, we have a couple pop-up markets that we hold with Cristo Ray every once in a while in Waukegan. Oh, yes. And then we also do have quite a few different mobile pantries in Waukegan, North Chicago, Mundelein, across the Lake County area and across our 13 county service area. So we really encourage neighbors to get involved, whether it's volunteering, joining us in an event, or whether it's coming to pick up groceries. We want to make sure that neighbors have access to those opportunities. And all of that information can be found at our website, solvehungertoday.org. We have our calendar of distributions. We have our calendar of volunteer opportunities. And you can also always call our SNAP outreach hotline, which I've plugged already, but I'll plug again. It's 844-600-SNAP, which is 844-600-7627. and you can talk to one of our SNAP outreach team members. And then you can also follow us on social media. We're always posting about opportunities to get involved. We're posting about our pop-up markets and our distribution, so you know when and where to come get groceries. And so you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter to make sure that you are staying up to date with the operations going on at the food bank.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much, Julia. Well, we're going to wrap up. Thank you so much for doing the show today and for all the great work you're doing at Northern Illinois Food Bank, all the great work you're doing in our community for our neighbors. We really appreciate all that you're doing. So I'm just going to wrap up. Did you have any closing remarks or?
Sure. Thank you so much, Senator Johnson, for the opportunity to talk about the work that we're doing. We really always want to get the word out about the work that we're doing to our neighbors and to our community partners. I think I'll leave you off with this message that we really want to make sure that anyone who is in need of a little food at this time we welcome you to come to our distributions. We really want to make sure that everyone has access to the food that they need to thrive. So please, please, please come visit us at one of our distributions, visit one of your local pantries, and come see us. We'll be excited to see you.
Yeah, so wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Julia. That concludes our show. And just to wrap up, I would like to say, as far as our district, we have a couple of events coming up. We have the Coffee and Connect on Saturday, April 17th. Looking forward to that. And then we have a special event where we are focusing on protecting the monarch butterflies. So we have a milk replanting ceremony coming up. All that information is on our social media platforms, and we hope to see you at one of those events. Well, thanks again, Julia. You have a wonderful rest of the day, and thank you all for tuning in.